It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thanks.
It's kind of hard to see in here. I don't know.
Hope everybody out there is doing okay. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I've been watching movies.
Yay.
Yay. I've also been trying to get caught up on The Walking Dead since they're getting ready to end that. This last season's just been kind of a... Oh, my God. How many more episodes is this? I'm hoping it'll pick up, which I heard it does. So,
A long goodbye.
Right. It's been a long one. But I'm excited because I've heard that there's some important people that are going to be making an appearance. So I want to get caught up to that. But in the Walking Dead world, here's a little bit of tea that's going on right now. 2 years ago, it's some tea. 2 years ago, when they first started talking about wrapping up The Walking Dead, they announced that there would be some spin-offs. And I think Maggie and Negan are getting one, and Daryl and Carol were supposed to be getting one. Well, like I said, this was talked about 2 years ago. And, of course, they have to finish up The Walking Dead to see where these spin-offs exactly are going to land, as far as time period and stuff goes. Well, during the course of all of this, of course, we had a pandemic, and that kind of changed a lot of stuff here. Instead of shooting in Georgia, where they've normally been shooting, they've decided that these spin-offs are going to happen in the UK. It's cheaper. They've got a better location for everything else. So when they kicked this out to the people, Norman Reedus, he has a fiance, and she has been waiting for him to kind of wrap this up so they could move to the UK because she's got a contract she's going to fill over there. So this has been planned. Well, now, as of probably this week, Melissa McBride, which is Carol, has decided, you know what, I've put 15 years into this show because she is a day one Walking Dead. And I don't want to move to the UK. I'm sorry, but I don't, Well, too much has been put into this, but there still wasn't a script or anything for this, just other than we've looked at some spots in the UK, and I think that's where we're going to do this, Well, when Melissa pretty much said, I don't want to go to the UK, she pretty much said, I'm done. 15 years is enough. I'm done. Well, somehow, the Walking Dead fans have totally missed what Melissa has said, and now all of this is Norman Reedus' fault. They have given this man death threats. They are cussing him out. I mean, they're threatening his fiance and her child. And I mean, it totally went ugly.
Because they're fans.
Right.
Of course. Once again.
Yeah. They went from loving him to now we hate you and we want you and your girlfriend dead. Well, AMC finally stepped up, because this was the mess that they created. And they were like, hey, this isn't Norman's fault because like I said, it got pretty intense, on his side. We understand where Melissa was coming from. We have no hard feelings. Pretty much this was one of many problems that have come up that they were pretty much just like, It's not worth it. We don't want to do this anymore. Forget that they already have all these other spinoffs planned, but because they're not doing this one, fans are ready to nuke them, Jeffrey Dean Morgan finally had to come out and say something because nobody was listening to AMC because, of course, they know more of the story than AMC does, right? This has to be Norman's fault, Then, of course, it shifted from Norman to his fiancée, but his fiancée has put this contract on hold for a couple of years now, And I think they're also forgetting that Andrew Lincoln walked out on this show, 4 or 5 years ago, because even he was done with it. You can't blame people that have paused their life for 15 years to want to go out and live a life now, and that's pretty much what Melissa has said. I love Norman. We'll continue to be friends, but I don't want to do this anymore, And I don't get me wrong. I am so glad that she's not getting hate because what they've done to Norman is, it's horrific to think that your whole family is in jeopardy because, you agreed to do a show? And he was the one who was willing to do it. And, he's pretty much stated, I didn't care where it was at. If it's in Georgia or if it's in the UK, I don't care. I'm making money.
I just wonder if the production company had decided, you know what, we're not doing it in Georgia anymore. We're going to move up to Canada, and we'll film it there, Ontario or wherever.
Yeah.
I wonder if this would have happened because of the fact that it went to UK. She's from the UK and all that kind of stuff. That's where everything kind of spun out. But if it had gone anywhere else, that this would have blown up.
A neutral location, basically.
Yes. Thank you.
I think filming in Canada would be a lot different than filming in the UK, just because you can still make, if you live California or whatever, you can still make trips home. It's not have to fly on an international flight to get home kind of thing, it probably would have made a little bit more difference. I think she's looking at it as, once again, I'm going to have to uproot my life and move to the UK, another country, and start all over again.
Well, I'm just saying, if everything happened the way it happened, except for the fact that it wasn't that the production company was moving to the UK, it was going up to Canada.
Yeah.
And she still says no, I don't want to do that. Thank you, though. I'm going to move on. Would there been this big of a blow up and the death threats and all that? That's what I'm getting at.
It still would have, because the show's canceled. And that's what the blow up is. They want to blame somebody.
They actually canceled it because I thought they were retooling it to where it was going to be him kind of like riding around the country on a bike. No. They actually canceled it.
They actually, from the last I heard, they actually canceled it. From what I understand, when Melissa said no, it was just kind of one more kink that had been put in this project. That was enough for them to go, you know what, we're just not going to do this. Norman's on board to do whatever, but we're just not going to do this. I could see them, though, putting Norman over with Maggie and Megan. Because he's still willing to do all of this. Well, why not put them with him and, But it depends. Because like I said, when they talked about this, his, fiance set up work, and this has been planned for them now because this was the plan. We're going to go to the UK and shoot the show, If anything, Norman's handling it gracefully because it's kind of like, I did everything you wanted me to, and I even moved on to a different country for you, and now we're not going to do this. But even he's kind of like, it's all right, Melissa's a cool chick, and I understand where she's coming from, But no, it's because they're not going to get what they want, so they're going to cry and piss and moan,
It's over.
Yeah.
Just walk away. It's over.
It's over. Yep.
Walk. That's
that
good.
They're not ready to let these people go,
I got it, Mikey.
You didn't think I tossed it out there to be a non-joke? What's wrong with you boys?
The whole thing, it's just stupid.
It is. I don't understand toxic fandoms. I don't. I mean, if Jensen ever came out and said, you know what, I'm tired of doing this because I have no privacy, I would feel bad as a fan because me watching him and enjoying him caused him to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? As a fan, me being obsessed, has made him feel like he needs to put a restraining order on me. But
it wouldn't be the first.
Right, I could paper the wall.
No, I mean, first that he's had to put one out on somebody.
Right. I'm sure it's pretty lengthy for him.
You guys took that wrong. That's all there is to it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But we got a good chuckle out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know. I couldn't see someone that I enjoy watching causing them pain and hurt, people like Rose and Star Wars and stuff who fans just hated them for them. That was just kind of like, wow, you're supposed to be a fan. This is supposed to be like a happy,
So what you're saying is you're not a Cole Sprouse fan then?
I'm not a Cole Sprouse fan. I'm not a fan of anyone who's okay with toxic fandoms either. Because there are people out there who actually encourage these people to be this way. A lot of them are not that way just because they're lunatics. I mean, 90% of them are. But, a lot of the times you have that egotistical person who's pushing their fans to do this way. We see it all the time in the pop world. The Beehive for Beyonce goes after the Cardi fans, and they encourage that, and it's wrong. You should be telling them, knock this shit off. The last thing we need is more fight in the world, especially amongst ourselves, because we all like the same thing.
Do we though?
So yeah, can't we all just get along?
I mean,
I'm not singing Kumbaya again, damn it.
All right.
The other day, I actually had to get up and walk away from the computer because I saw a discussion, and this dude, who's probably about as old as I am, was now arguing that Star Wars was never meant for the kids, not even the originals. It was not for it was not family, it was kids. It was meant for a mature audience. And like, then how in the hell did you see it back then?
Yeah.
You are a fucking idiot.
And he used Muppets. You know what I'm saying? How do you make a film not for families and use Muppets?
It's just...
Have you watched the Muppets appearances on Saturday Night Live the first season?
Well, but you know what I'm saying, though. They purposely made some of this stuff cute, to gather, to get that
to sell
family
toys.
feel to it. Yeah, well, that too. But I mean,
and honestly,
that's
part of the deal. I mean, you can't before Star Wars, you didn't sell toys to grown-ups.
They were marketed to the kids.
Toys were for kids. Mm-hmm. The fact that grown-ups bought Star Wars toys was a complete anomaly.
It was.
It never had happened before. So,
which was why they gave Lucas the agreement to begin with.
Right, because
they
knew they weren't going to sell anything.
Yeah.
You're going to sell some toys.
Yeah, right. It wasn't a thing before that.
And it's kind of funny you talk about that. You talk about how the toys were obviously aimed toward kids or appealed to kids until Star Wars. I've recently joined Pinterest basically so I could actually access some of the pictures that are on there. God damn, there was a lot of James Bond action figures and guns and all that kind of stuff in the 60s.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I mean, these were films that were really not geared toward kids. I mean, they were PG because there was really nothing else. They weren't R.
Right.
They were not hard enough to be R. They were PG.
Right. They weren't that violent.
Yeah. But it's just like,
But even then, you're marketing them to. I mean, the only reason you're marketing them to the grown-ups is because the grown-ups like the movies, so they'll buy the toys for the kids.
For the kids. Well, and not only that, before Showtime and HBO and all of that other stuff, when you had a good movie at a movie theater, they also made a version made for TV. So even if James Bond was rated R, they would make a PG version for the TV where the kids could watch it. So maybe that's
that stuff out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe that's where the toys and stuff come in, because it was edited down enough.
They show it on TV once or twice, and they realize, hey, kids like this too.
Yep.
All right, so
and
we make toys.
Parents are watching it because they'd seen the original version, and
so you get both sides of the angle there. You get the kids who want the toys, you get the parents who can buy the toys.
And that's probably how I got to watch most of the horror shows growing up, is I had to watch it when it came out on TV. And the boobies were gone, and the drugs were gone, and
Oh, believe me, the TV version for the 1981 Halloween 2 is so much different from the movie version. It's unbelievable, and it's amazing just taking out those kills and just reconfiguring the film. It makes a big difference. Yeah,
it does.
But going back to what I was saying,
nowadays it doesn't. But
well, the thing with the TV version of Halloween 2 is, kind of going back, it's taking place in the hospital, and you're seeing the staff getting killed off every 5 or 10 minutes. Well, in the TV version, that stuff's gone, so these people just disappear.
Yeah.
It's like, and that actually kind of made it interesting, because it's like, okay, what the hell happened? This person's not here anymore. They're looking, and the survivors are looking for the others. It's like, it was kind of neat. But,
Well, I remember in Friday the 13th, when he was killing all of the camp counselors, there was a couple of scenes, there was a couple of scenes like where they're making out and the spear goes straight through both of them. Of course, that wasn't played on TV, but later on, one of the camp counselors came running into the cabin, and you get a glimpse of all of those, that were killed at that point. So we didn't get to see how they died, but we were like, whoa.
Well,
that bitch be dead.
Why do they got a pile of corpses back there?
Well, that happens in Halloween too, when Jamie's down in the basement and she finds a couple of bodies, that kind of stuff. Yeah, But getting back to what I was originally saying, I mean, here's pictures. You could clearly tell that these were made in the 60s. Like, you can have like an attaché case that has like every type of gun that he used from Rush with Love. I was like, and this was aimed toward kids. I'm like, wow, okay, that wouldn't happen today, obviously. It was just kind of because I hadn't thought about James Bond toys for kids, because I haven't seen them. Anything kind of tied into the movies is usually the watches, the cars, that kind of stuff. It's kind of the more
the gadgety stuff, not the weapons.
Well, I bet. I mean, gadgety, but also you're talking about like a Rolex and something a little bit more expensive type, expensive toys.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Well, and then you had people like
from Hasbro
who would release real nice stuff too, that were always been collector's items. That's where most of my Lucy stuff comes from.
But it's just kind of funny because it didn't dawn on me until I saw those pictures. Like, maybe puzzles during the 70s and 80s, maybe, but certainly no action figures. Or maybe there'll be a Hot Wheels for the cars or the vehicles.
Yeah,
that was about it.
That'd be pretty cool too, though.
But I'm sorry I kind of got us off, but it's just it kind of, this discussion kind of got me on there. It made me think about that. So
it's cool. I just have one more thing.
Okay.
Kind of horror related. This weekend was the Texas Frightmare, And of course, I didn't get to go, but after reading a lot of the stuff that happened, I'm kind of glad I didn't go. I wasn't aware that they canceled the 2020 and 21 Frightmare weekend. So people who had tickets for those two shows could redeem them at this weekend show. So to say it was a clusterfuck was unimaginable. You know? But out of all the complaining I heard, people were rude and da-da-da-da-da, normal con stuff, the one thing that I kept hearing, Matthew Lillard. We have to protect this man at all costs. Every interaction I read with him with fans was above and beyond. They said there was one story that I actually cried. She said that she got a chance to meet him. It was given to her as a birthday gift. And she told him, she got the screen picture, but she's like, my son, he's autistic. He's 15, nonverbal, but he absolutely loves Scooby-Doo. And Matthew Lillard was kind of like, wow, how do you do it? I'm in awe of you. And she's like, well, actually, I have 3 boys who are all autistic. He went over there and grabbed Scooby pictures, 3 different pictures, gave her autographs, asked her kids' names and everything else, wrote them all down, gave her a big hug at the end and was like, I'm so glad I got to meet you. And she's kind of like, wow, I'm so glad I got to meet you. You're the star. And he's like, no, you're the one who's doing it every day. And it's like, wow, how many celebrities, for one, at a busy weekend like this would just turn around and give their autograph for free? That was one, and not just one, but 3 of them to her. And they said that Friday night, he stayed there till 1:30 in the morning signing autographs because he knew that he had the screen panel on Saturday and he wouldn't be able to do as many. So it's just kind of like, wow, he's in the world of assholes. He's not. So let's protect this man. And if you look at his acting career, he is like so all over the place and he's amazing in everything he does. Every part was, it's kind of hard from going to playing Shaggy to playing this serial killer. So, and he does it so beautifully. So he's, if you ever want a good celebrity experience, I'm telling you, you need to meet him. You need to tell him how much we appreciate people like that because they're rare. They're really rare. So, but yeah. Other than that, like I said, it sounded packed. It sounded hot. And, the last Comic-Con I went to, I believe, was also at the Hyatt. And it was like, wow, the whole bottom part where they used to have the cons at, they've turned into tiny conferences rooms. And by doing that, of course, they opened more rooms up, but it took a lot of space. So they've definitely outgrown this venue. I don't know how long their contract is with them, but, I know this year was kind of an anomaly because, like I said, they were making up for 2 years of it. And from what I heard, the screen cast was just so grateful above and beyond to their fans. And like I said, Matthew Lillard. He's our gem.
We don't even have a gem of the week on this show, but if we did, by golly.
If we did, it would be him. 10 of 10.
Will recommend.
Will recommend. Anything. Yep. I've pretty much liked everything that he's done. So whether it be kid movies, scary movies, dramas, comedy, he's done it all, Mm-hmm.
He even plays D&D, doesn't he?
Do what?
He even plays D&D, doesn't he?
I think he does. Yep.
There you go. How can you go wrong?
Yep. He kind of reminds me of what people say like Brendan Fraser and Keanu Reeves are. Just so humble and even grateful you notice them. And, I would put him in their category. Just I know I'm here because of you, kind of thing. And I would even, I won't say that because that's too controversial.
Yeah.
There's a few guys that I would put over there that just very humble, and they're there for their fans, above and beyond for their fans. But I think the attitude that I've mentioned it before on the show, how people are just angry nowadays. And I think that's the problem that the con ran into. People don't want you to look at them. They don't want you near them. They don't want, they don't want to talk to you. They've spent 2 years not talking to people, and we've kind of forgotten how to be nice. It's not always about you.
I think that was a problem before the pandemic, but okay.
Yeah, but the pandemic definitely amplified that.
Also, we don't need to repeat rants here.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just saying I've stated that before, so I won't go into that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Mikey.
My turn?
Yes.
Cool. Well, I'm not. A part of me wants to think that this is actually fitting into that somehow, in a way that I never really imagined. I watched a documentary this weekend from 2007, and it is called Mr. Warmth, the Don Rickles Project.
Don Rickles.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. And it is most assuredly worth looking at. It is very interesting. I learned a lot about the guy that I never knew. And the funny thing is if you know anything about Don Rickles, he's the guy out there just railing on everybody about anything, just completely tearing down people. And I mean, he was a classic on the old celebrity roasts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically that thing was, if not directly, then at least coincidentally made for Rickles. I mean, that is just, that is his element 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he is was the sweetest guy you could ever possibly meet when he wasn't working. Well, he was.
Yeah, I mean, that's his job.
He was vicious when he was working, and he was working right up to the end too. But which is saying something for a guy who lived to be 90.
Now, who's the other guy that's kind of like him? I always think, no respect.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes, yeah. I always thought, man, if them two roasted each other, ooh.
That might have been interesting.
They would definitely be needing some burnt cream.
Maybe throw a little Lewis Black in there to go with it, just for fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
That could have been a treat. But yeah, this is a really good documentary, really nice story, and enough clips of him working to be just hilarious. I mean, and we're talking about his whole running the spectrum of his whole career, from the early war movies he was in to Beach Blanket Bingo and just all the way on up. Absolute hoot.
He is.
I've seen it posted. Do they cover his life on CPO Sharky?
Not in a ton of detail. There are a couple of little bits where they mention it.
Okay.
Because there's one incident with that when he was working on that show. There's an incident he had, kind of a run-in he had with Johnny Carson, that they show some clips from, is really hilarious. Which had stemmed, I won't go into too much detail, but it had stemmed from a Rickles appearance on Carson's show, and then it turned out that Sharky was being filmed like across the hall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, this is, I mean, obviously he passed away several years ago. This came out in 2007, so there's and it's got just a ton. I mean, this was a major deal when it came out. This was directed by John Landis, so it was taken very seriously, and well, it wasn't necessarily presented seriously, but that's Landis for you.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of fun. There are a ton. They interviewed a ton of people, people that were in his life at various times for various reasons. It's really cool. It's really nice. It is. It was on. I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Cool.
And
Let's check that one out.
he was tight with Don Adams and Bob Newhart, wasn't he?
Yeah, they actually talked to Bob Newhart quite a bit in this because they were like really good friends. Like their families like went on vacations together, traveling around the world.
Uh-huh.
He was really good friends with Lucy too. When they did her roast, she requested him, you know, yeah, I can't say it.
Specifically?
Yes, there you go.
Easy for you to say.
Mm.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Yep, fun stuff.
Yeah. Anything else?
God, no, it was a short week.
That's true.
We recorded late last week, and we're
That's
recording on time this week. I feel like we just did this yesterday. Shish.
It wasn't?
No.
No, just the day before.
I had to edit that monstrosity last week.
That's true.
That alone took a while. Nah, it was good.
Okay, Les?
For me, one of the major things I did was I picked up a copy of a new release called We Only Kill Each Other. This was a 5-episode digital series, and it's based on a true story and based on 2 mobsters that opposed each other, but they were pressed into business together to assassinate someone. This was staged in 1938. This is before the U.S. got into World War II, and the Nazi contingent in the U.S. was trying to get the United States into the war. At that time, we refused. But these 2 gentlemen, these 2 mobsters, were told that the government said, we'll drop all charges against you if you do this guy in. And at first they're going, no, because there are 2 different mindsets. One just wants to go in and shoot him. The other one is saying, no, we can't shoot him. The government wants him alive. So I'm going to recommend this one. It's by Stephanie Phillips and Peter Krause. Try it out. It's a quick read. It's trying to see the price on it without my glasses.
Good luck with that.
It's $20. It's good reading, some really good artwork, and it's a quick read. It's about 150 pages or something. So, yeah, try that one out. We Only Kill Each Other, and it's put out by Comixology and Dark Horse.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah. For me, not a whole heck of a lot. As I told you guys in pre-show, I've kind of started rewatching the early Mission Impossible episodes again, the first couple seasons. And boy, it's amazing. These 5 people can overthrow a government with just easy as a breeze. It's kind of funny. I keep thinking about that when I watch these episodes. It's like they can literally overthrow a government and it not be an issue. But it's been fun. It's been fun. But I've also been actually working on the schedule for the podcast. Got some fun stuff coming up later on this year, and I know it seems kind of crazy, but I've been started working on for next year, trying to get things kind of lined up. So not anything I can go into right now, but I think the gang will be. They're going to be excited about a few things, and hopefully you that are listeners would be interesting, and I think you have some fun listening to what we'll be discussing. So not a whole heck of a lot.
That's a lot.
Right. Trying to keep us in line. That's a full-time friggin' job.
Well, as I told y'all in Discord, it's not easy to trying to work on a schedule when you got a freaking headache. It's I actually had to stop. It's like I'm making it worse. Stop it. Stop it.
Sometimes you just have to stop.
Yeah. But some fun stuff coming down the avenue, as well as tonight's episode. So. Which we'll be getting into momentarily, but I do want to mention, I think some of us may have already mentioned it. We do have a Discord that's been up for about 2 years now. We post a lot of news items. We'll post some fun stuff for discussion, video clips and trailers, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I posted the trailer that came out today for the new documentary that's coming in the month on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. George Carlin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man before his time.
The trailer looks great, so I'm sure it's going to be a blast to watch. So, and we'll have activities. We may have we'll have maybe a month-long activity of stuff to do. We'll do movie nights, or we'll just have a hangout on in one of the audio channels. So if y'all like to hang out with us, other than through these episodes of the podcast, come join our Discord. Sign up is free. The app is free in any of the app stores. We do have an open invitation on our homepage, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. So come join us.
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes we just post random crazy shit while we're recording too.
Well, I was going to let them figure that out. Plus, well, since you mentioned some of the other stuff, I don't mention this that often, but some of the stuff that you cut out from the episodes.
Oh yeah.
That's still it's fun to listen to. It's deleted goodies.
It is.
I try not to put the boring shit, you know.
Well, I understand. And so that is available on our Discord as well. So.
Yep.
Alrighty. We are finishing up Sci-Fi Month with this episode. Y'all been having fun with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have.
Uh-huh.
A few I hadn't seen. And a few I hadn't seen in a while.
Well, we are finishing up with the 1997 film Men in Black. And this was based off a Malibu comic, not Marvel, as is mentioned in the credits.
Thank you.
Marvel would eventually buy Malibu, but this was actually, to my knowledge, Marvel has never put out a Men in Black comic. So, anyway. But it stars Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith and Rip Torn and
Thank God. I thought he said 77, and I was like, God damn it, I watched the wrong.
Yes, I did say 77. So you watched the wrong Men in Black.
Oh, geez.
Did you watch The Blob again?
Men in Black, we Beware the Blob. What's the difference?
Right. I mean, there was a couple of blobs in this one.
There were.
I just
Elena
had to Google.
Florentino and Vincent D'Onofrio, who was awesome.
Amazing.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Oh my God.
He plays a very good villain in almost everything that he does when he's the villain. But yeah.
But I mean, this, yeah, I mean, great. He's always a great villain. But with this one, the fact that it's basically a giant cockroach in a human body. Spoiler for very old film.
Very old. Yeah.
But he did a great job. It's just acting like, oh, this is really uncomfortable for me to be in this human suit. He was awesome. So with that, and with that little bit of a tease, let's talk about Men in Black.
I liked this one. Now, this may be surprising, but I hadn't seen this one. It's one of those.
What?
Yes, it's one of those that the kids absolutely adored. We had all of the little McDonald's toys and everything else for Men in Black, but somehow I did not see this one.
It was a double feature with the Blob 2.
Right.
And the Black Hole.
Yeah.
So it's actually a three anyway,
Triple feature?
Triple feature.
Yeah.
A three for all.
So.
I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, but I liked it. I mean, like you said, it had an amazing cast. Other than Wild Wild West, Will Smith, when you put him in a part, he just kind of becomes that person. And I think that they've done real good selecting people who are close to his personality, so it's easier to play these kind of people. So I really enjoyed him in this. Of course, Rip Torn. Wow. But my favorite character, can you guys tell me who?
It's got what? Oh God, what's the dog's name?
Frank.
Frank. Right.
Frank.
Has to be Frank.
Of course.
And when he first opened his mouth and started talking, it was like, why does he sound so familiar? So of course I had to look up who was voicing Frank, and it's Tim Blaney, who, yes, he's voiced quite a bit of shit. So it's one of those that you're like, I know I've heard this voice before. So, but even that, I thought it was really cute. You know, he said twisted the dog all around. He's like, oh, it's okay. He owes him money. Oh man,
that's part of the magic of this film, because Tommy Lee Jones, for a majority of this film, is just, I mean, he's an asshole, and he's by the books. Then he does a scene like that, and you're going, what the hell am I watching? You know? He's got a pug, and he's just shaking it upside down and everything as threatening him. And you're like, what the hell? You know?
I cannot imagine anybody else in that role other than Tommy Lee Jones. He does the straight man so well.
Yes.
So well. And honestly, not even in a way that he's like the strict straight man. He's got hilarious lines in this movie.
Yes.
And his delivery is so beautiful because he delivers them as the straight man.
Straight man, yep.
And it's man, we're from the FBI. We do not have a sense of humor that we can speak of. Can we come in? How is he not laying on the floor laughing his ass off with that? How many takes did that take? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Well, on my X-ray thing, because I watched this on Amazon, it said that when Tommy Lee Jones was presented with the script to this, he hated it. He's like, no, for one thing, lighten it the fuck up. This isn't believable because it's too stiff. So he's actually the one that got them to go back in and rework everything because he was like, I'll do it, but not like this, So
I'm sure he wanted to have some fun with it.
Yeah,
and boy, did it work.
That's pretty much what he said. Yeah.
And boy, did it work.
Yeah, according to Wiki, he said, he only accepted it after Spielberg promised that they would improve the script.
Yeah.
And he did it based on his respect for Steven Spielberg's track record. The role was originally was offered to Clint Eastwood prior to Tommy Lee Jones. So can you imagine Clint Eastwood doing
God. No. But that right there should tell you.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, if you've ever seen Every Which Way But Loose, he can do comedy. I mean, it's not uproarious comedy, but it's there.
Yeah, he could do it.
I mean, would it have made this movie better? No, but
no.
He could have done it.
But that should tell you what kind of script it was that they had when Tommy Lee Jones saw it then. If you wrote a script with Clint Eastwood in mind, the guy who made Go Ahead Punk, Make My Day, he made that famous because he's a badass, you can kind of see where this turned.
He made that famous, but he also made Right Turn Clyde famous too. So
he did, and that
mm-hmm.
So I can see what Mike's talking about.
Yeah.
I would love for there to be a book a book of these type of stories. Okay, this role was originally offered to this person. They turned it down, so it was given to this person. And, of course, that person made the role famous and that kind of stuff. I would love a book like that.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it's out there.
It may be. I just don't know.
Right.
But it's because the first thing I think of when I hear stuff like this is Sean Connery turned down Gandalf because he didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And then he turned down oh God, Matrix. It was Lawrence Fishburne's character. I can't remember his name. Morpheus. He was offered Morpheus.
Sean Connery?
Yes. He says, I don't understand this.
That would not have worked.
So he took Alan Quartermain.
Right.
Because he somehow understood that.
Because he got that. Didn't bother to read the script. He just wanted to play Alan Quartermain, apparently.
Yeah. Well, they had asked Christina Applegate to do Legally Blonde first before Reese Witherspoon. Could you imagine that one? Because that pretty much launched Reese.
Yeah.
But Christina was like, no, I don't want to be another dumb blonde,
She was under contract, too.
Was it? Is that part of it?
She was doing Married with Children.
Yep.
So she was pretty much tied up.
Like that would have been a different movie, too,
I don't know. That would have been interesting.
Well, if you want to go a little bit further, Will Smith's character, Jay, guess who that was offered to originally? Chris O'Donnell. He said it was too much like Dick Grayson and Robin, so he didn't want to do it.
I can see that, though.
Oh, if anything, it was more like the Disney Three Musketeers, but that's a different.
Yeah.
That's a different tangent right there.
They also offered it to David Schwimmer.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good in Friends, but yeah.
No, I think we dodged a bullet there.
Big time. But they said when they first asked Will Smith, he turned it down because he had just did Independence Day and didn't want to make another Alien film. I'm like, wow. I think Jada actually was the one who talked him into yes, you want to do this.
I kind of see it because the characters are kind of similar. I can see that, but man,
I don't want to kick a guy when he's down, but
Yeah.
a lot of Will Smith's characters are very similar.
That's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
admittedly, I haven't seen some of his really serious stuff because that stuff just mostly doesn't appeal to me. But just why watch a serious movie? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Why so
But
serious?
beyond, I mean, but the ones that have made him cajillions of dollars are the Independence Days and the Men in Black and
Bad Boys and all that.
that stuff where he's basically just playing Will Smith.
Yeah.
It's some variant on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
Which, hey, he can do that. He's got the personality. He's funny enough. He can pull it off. Good for him.
He can do that. Yep.
Yep. I ain't knocking him for it, but.
Well, I mean,
you better say that. You better say.
Hell yeah, he's listening.
In the corridors here.
He's listening. Come on the show, Will. We all good.
So what else about the film that you guys like? I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Liz. I want to keep on going.
No. I liked the aliens, too. I thought they did a good job on those. Good enough where it wasn't cheesy, but cheesy enough where it was still kind of cute.
See, and I think they did. I think they really played hard on the Liz card here. I think there was a lot of cute in this movie.
There was.
And I think that was intentional.
Yep.
Like the baby squid.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, how was that not a hugely successful toy? Come on.
I don't know.
Clearly, somebody's not doing something right because damn, that thing was cute.
That was. I liked the little coffee guys too.
Mm-hmm. The worm guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The wonder.
They was leaving with the cigarettes and coffee there at the end. We're out of here, bitch.
Screw you guys. We're out of here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got a home to go to.
Yep.
I thought it was cute. And it was kind of cool because when they introduced the girl at the very first, like I said, I hadn't seen this before. It would be like, as much as she read into it and figured things out and wasn't all like, oh my God, aliens, she would make a good agent. So it was kind of cool there at the end that it kind of went that route and I didn't fry her brain again. or Jay said, give her leukemia or something.
you ever flash your thing, me, Gate? No. No, I'm serious. Have you ever flashed it? No.
Not ever. I'm curious now about the second and the third, the way that this one ended. I kind of have a feeling, just from this all over the internet and everything else. I'm assuming that Tommy didn't retire for long, but it was kind of nice to see him go back to the life that he gave up trying to save the world,
See, and
the
that's
path not taken.
And that's the other thing they did well in this movie was they found little ways to tug the heartstrings like that
without going.
And they hinted at that
backstory of it either.
Right. No, they just little hints along the way that's coming.
Yep.
Uh-huh. And
so
there was an animated series with this too.
Yep.
In which the ME plays a role, Liz. So there you go.
Oh, that's cool. And they also said that Vincent D'Onofrio, that he voiced all of the bugs in the animated.
There you go.
So
nice.
And of course, David Cross makes an appearance in this movie.
Tony Shalhoub.
Oh.
Pawn
Do you have any idea how much that stings?
And the aliens on the board of known aliens. I think one was Bruce Springsteen. Steven Spielberg was
Stallone
up there.
Was up there.
Lucas. Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Dionne Warwick. So I thought it was kind of cute they could poke fun at each other too, He put his face up there.
and Jay's teacher from elementary school.
Mhm.
The math teacher, the history teacher. Something.
It's like I always thought. Yep, you're right. So now it makes me wonder about my gym teacher. But yeah, I liked it. I don't know why I hadn't. I think I hadn't watched it because I thought I had, and I couldn't remember a lot about it. And, usually it's like, well, it probably wasn't any good if you don't remember anything about it. So after watching it, it was like, oh, I don't remember anything about it because I've never seen that.
Mm.
I kept looking for one part. One part will be familiar, and no, it wasn't. So.
See, we can recommend a good movie every now and then.
Oh, right. Well, then it made me feel bad
Hey,
because,
now.
like I said, my kids loved this, and I never even watched what they watched.
Doesn't sound like you at all, really.
Well, I figured if they were making McDonald's toys out of it, it was probably okay,
Well, I mean,
in the 90s.
I bet we could find examples here. Just saying.
Les, your thoughts?
I hated it.
No, I enjoyed it. And I'm glad you brought up the fact that it was not Marvel that created the comic. That was Aircell. And Aircell was bought by Malibu. Then Malibu was bought by Marvel.
Yeah.
So, to me, I was angry when I saw this because I'd read the comic. And I was mad because Marvel was prominently featured as essentially the creators. And it made me angry because I knew better. The movie was fun. To me, Vincent D'Onofrio had the top role because I remember him from the babysitting movie.
Adventures in Babysitting?
Adventures in Babysitting. Because he played Thor in that one. And to see him change this much, and I'm not just talking into a bug, but to see him take on a role like that, I thought was magnificent.
Yeah.
Well,
It was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
he was also in Full Metal Jacket, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a hell of a range among those three movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Big time.
And then going to
Full
TV.
Metal Jacket was probably my favorite. And Ed Wood, but yeah. And he was also in Jessica Jones as
He was
is it
Kingpin.
Kingpin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was Kingpin, yeah.
And I thought he did really well in that. But wasn't there like a Law and Order or CSI or something
Yeah,
that
he
he
was
was
Law
in?
and Order Criminal 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was actually
See,
good
I
in that
watched-
too.
He was
He
real good in
was.
that.
I loved him in that. And then they made him a drunk and he left. And I hate when they do that because they kind of did the same thing to Maloney in SVU. So it was kind of like, why do you do that?
They did that to
You know?
spin Maloney off into another show.
Yeah. Well, and like Criminal Minds, that's the same thing that they did to, God, I just knew his name and it's gone. Yeah. But they did it to him too. And it was kind of like, can't you give him a little dignity because he was such a big part of the show and, oh, we're going to make him a drunk.
Are you talking about Gibson?
Gibson, yes, Gibson.
Well, that's
That
because there
was-
was some behind the scenes stuff that caused that happen.
There was more to it than that, big time.
I figured because then they finally brought him back to kill him, and they, killed him. It was brutal death. No coming back, So I kind of figured there was some kind of dispute because, like I said, at first he just left. And then they were like, nope, not good enough.
From
You dead.
what I remember reading, and it's been a long time, and Mikey might know more or not, I don't know. There was altercation with one of the crew members, or it was writers or something like that. That's basically that was.
Yeah, basically he attacked somebody on set.
Yeah.
I thought that was the other guy, Greg from Dharma and Greg.
Same guy.
That's the same guy.
Oh, see, no, this isn't that guy. Hang on. No, because they killed him off pretty good too. This was it was Mandy Patinkin as Jason Gideon. Gideon, like I said, he was an alcoholic right before he left, and then they met him back out at a cabin later on, and he was slaughtered.
I think that was an actual him leaving, but I don't know that for a fact.
Accord, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because clearly that was not an off-camera thing, because Manny Patinkin is also, like Don Rickles, one of the best loved guys in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a hell of a tangent from what Les was talking about, but
So go ahead, Les. Continue.
Oh, I'm good. I'm just taking all this in.
Learning all kinds of shit in here tonight, huh?
I know who to attack now, so. No, I'm fine, thanks.
And of course, I don't think we've mentioned it, but the music in this was Mr. Elfman again.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to say anything bad about Danny Elfman.
No, Mr. Oingo Boingo himself.
Although the music in this was pretty damn good.
It was. It set the tone. And actually, this would have been his, early stuff, wouldn't it have? I'll have to look again.
No.
No? Okay.
Because Batman was 89. This is 97.
Oh, okay. Yep. Batman was his first stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was early Elfman, or early soundtrack Elfman.
Yeah.
I mean, Oingo Boingo was around in the late 70s.
Yeah.
That was his first major movie.
Yeah.
Batman was his first major movie.
Yeah.
It was not even his first movie, but it was his first major movie. What was the name?
Yeah, because then after that, Nightmare Before Christmas, which really, I mean, the whole thing was music. So that was kind of like his soundtrack,
Didn't he do Forbidden Zone?
So,
yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention that, yeah. That is an absolute treat of a movie.
Oh, it is so good.
Yeah.
Well,
so funny.
It's hilarious. I don't know how good it is.
Well, it's good because it's funny.
Yeah. No. It's entirely worth watching. It is very weird, but it is entirely worth watching.
I mean, most the good movies he's had a hand in. I mean, yeah. I'm looking at a list.
That's a pretty broad statement there.
Yeah. I mean, from
including
Spider-Man,
Mission Impossible.
Coraline, yeah, Mission Impossible.
Citizen Kane.
He's just kind of done it all. Dumbo.
I was just waiting for a reaction from Les, because I know he hates Mission Impossible film.
Anything
I'm sorry, you can't hear it. I'm shaking my head.
Yes.
And of course, he's doing the new Doctor Strange.
For a second, I thought that was the Call of the Possum, for crying out loud.
Well, that too.
Call of the Possum.
Mule
Such a
Gibbons
bad
said, this is Call of the Possum.
I thought of you guys last night. I was watching a stream on Twitch, and they brought up some show, and I can't remember what the name of it is. It's a streaming show, but apparently it's done in Canada, and of course it's it's got obviously got Canadian humor, and they were just bashing that. It's like there's no good comedy that comes from Canada. And then someone says, well, there's Ryan Reynolds. I'm like, fucking Red Green, dude. Shut the hell up. And we got SCTV, so, stop that shit. I mean, I was just going, okay, y'all are just teenagers. Y'all just don't know what the hell
They're
you're
just
talking
having
about.
fun.
No, they didn't know better. That's the
Talking
difference.
out of their ass, right?
Uh-huh. So, you're like, Red Green, shut up, Red Green.
Right. 15 seasons.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, some people had cable. They didn't watch public TV.
I guess so.
Well, Red Green wasn't on cable originally.
No, he was on public television.
Public
That's
television.
how we got him down here, was PBS.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Some people had cable, so they weren't watching public TV.
So they were clueless.
They were snobs, yeah.
Mm.
I fell asleep with my TV on PBS and woke up that way from Black Adler to Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love. This is a fun film. I love it to death. For all the reasons y'all already mentioned, it just some of the craziness, the weird stuff that goes on. I already mentioned Tony Shalhoub as the pawn shop owner. It's funny how they kind of, this is normal to us. There's just except for the fact that, hey, we're about to be invaded by this particular group of aliens. It's just
right.
really
that happens every week. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. As he put it, every day something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember the conversation Mike and I had at one time a while back. The conversation that Jay has with Kay regarding why don't they go public about this, that the people would understand it. And Kay says, well, a person would understand, it would be okay. People would panic, and he just does this big whole speech about why this was not be a good thing. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Nails
You're
it too.
right on. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a fun film. I've not seen the third one. I need to big time, because Josh Brolin plays a younger Kay, and I could see him do it. I would love to see it. The part two.
You could skip part 2.
Yeah, you can skip part 2. Just know that Kay comes back. That's just accept that. That
Kay
an hour and a half later.
Kay coming back is kind of the focus of the movie. That's kind of the main plot point.
Yeah.
Which means it takes most of the movie for it to happen, and it's kind of uncomfortable, and my impression of the second movie was always that they took all of the jokes that were too bad to put in the first movie and made a second movie for them.
And for an hour and a half movie, it sure did seem to go long, and actually cover nothing, except for the fact that Kay was back.
Yep. For no real point.
Yep. So.
Now that's where I have a disagreement. See, even my pal in the background.
Yeah. Lacey didn't like it either.
I thought it was a fun movie. You had the monarch that was being chased. You had the men trying to run interference for him, try to get him back to his planet.
Yeah. You had Jackass running around there too.
Well, I enjoyed this part.
Okay.
And I'm not saying
I'm just saying. I'm
great,
just saying.
not great cinema, but it's fun.
No, I'm just saying Jackass because that's what I know him from. Is those movies, Jackass.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's his face?
Johnny Knoxville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what, Liz? You might like it because Frank gets to wear the suit.
Oh. That would be cute. I liked his little sweatshirt, though. That was cute, too.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, Les.
Well, thanks.
The third one was better.
Yeah, like
And
I said,
that's including a wrinkle that you wouldn't think I would say something like that about. But
And then after the third, isn't it International?
Yeah, that's with Hemsworth and was it Tessa Thompson?
God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I never saw
Well,
it.
because it kind of appeared and disappeared pretty quick.
And it was noticeably later.
Yeah. They offered for me to buy all four.
Oh, wasn't that sweet of them?
And I said, no, I just want to use my $2 credit and watch it.
So in other words, you say that you bought it for $1.
Oh.
Damn it. That's going to be stuck for another week.
I had to. So, in conclusion, watch this.
Yes.
Yes.
Full on
Yep.
recommend.
All right. With that, we are going to take a quick break and be back with Geek News for You. And we're back, and it's time for Geek News for You. This segment, we've had it going for a couple months now. What we do is we pick a couple news item to bring to the rest of the class and kind of have a little open discussion about it. So for this week, it is Les and myself. And Les, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Thank you, sir. Now, class, I want to bring up the fact that Marvel Comics is delaying again their comic book distribution. This was posted on the 29th of April. It's just a few days ago from this taping. But in this, they're saying that Marvel is delaying their comics because they're trying to get everything in order. This was something that happened when Marvel did their series of Civil War. When they did Civil War, they had to delay issues for a couple of months, new issues, a couple of months, so they could get to their ending of Civil War. This time, it's just because of the X-Men titles that have thrown things off. And they're saying that the scarcity of paper and the printing presses available is also part of the delay. Yet I don't see a lot of this being reflected in the other comic lines. You're going to be putting things off by weeks, even months, to get these comics out. already is Predator #1, and it's going to be delayed from the 6th of July to the 3rd of August. Spider-Man is going to be delayed. A new Deadpool series, a book of AXE Judgment Day. It bothers me to see things not meet the deadlines. I know that there are comics that don't meet deadlines. Other publishers have the same problem. But they start the year, there's a meeting, and they plan out. In 2022, they had a meeting, and they plan out what they're going to do in 2023. So they've already had a 2-year span to get things ready to go, to get things to finish by the end of 2023. This is something I can't say that it's unacceptable, because you have to take things into account as to why things are being delayed. But to have a special event going on and shutting down all of the other comics that would be affected by this event, so you can get the event more or less done, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
And this sticks in my craw. I'm not pleased about it, and I know that vendors are not going to be pleased about it. Gone are the days of somebody stepping in and doing a special issue for you so they can keep deadlines going, delaying, doing a Spider-Man series, and then have a special guest artist and or writer step in for one issue so you can continue this Spider-Man story. It's irritating as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take it anymore.
The days of the fill-in have been gone 40 years.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, when it takes 6 months to get your books from wherever you're having them printed, yeah, doing a fill-in issue real fast is not really an option.
Yeah.
No.
Well, back in the days, there used to be where they had stories and stuff kind of, I don't want to say archive, but maybe in a kind of at the ready in case there had to be a fill-in. But that's kind of hard to do now when a story lasts 5 to 12 issues. Mm-hmm. You can't throw something in the middle of it. I remember back when Dark Horse that originally had the Star Wars line, and oh God, there was like it happened so many times in just the main book where, like, for example, one that comes to my mind was there was a 5-issue story that was focusing on Big Starklighter, Luke's best friend. But it took 7 issues to do it because there was 2 fill-ins during that time. And you go, that is unacceptable. Because you're trying to remember, you're trying to read this story, and it doesn't make sense because there's something out of left field right in the middle of it. Not once, but twice. I remember that.
Right, and now we're not even talking about a 5-issue miniseries. We're talking about a massive event where we're crossing books over, and there's, I don't know what, I have no idea, but it's not unusual for there to be 30 books tied to these friggin' things. Yeah, that's a lot to kind of get together all at once. Maybe we should quit making it so damn hard on ourselves by doing
Yeah.
that. I'm just thinking.
Well, and DC's doing has something similar because of the whole Justice League America 75, the death of the Justice League, that was delayed, and then on top of that, editorial was going back to the writers going, you're going to need to make some changes to your individual books to kind of somehow tie into the acknowledgement of what's happened in that issue. And that pisses me off big time. Because they already had their story, they already have their story arc, and they already been working on it. Now you have someone higher up going, you're going to have to make changes so it flows into this this story that's overarching everything.
Right. Somebody else screwed up, so now you got to come fix it.
So your story is going to have to be sacrificed to set up someone else's, and I'm not going to mention the writer of Justice League. Everybody knows it since I just freaking mentioned the title. But it's just that's not even the first time. I remember what was it? What was it called? The Metal.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing, and I love Scott Snyder. He's a really good writer. I like a lot of his stuff. I hadn't read any of that stuff, but I was reading the Titans book that was written by Dan Abnett, and he was doing this. He's doing the story of the team getting back together. And after everything has happened with the whole New 52, and they were all forgotten, and Rebirth, they're all back. They're trying to figure things out and trying to get back together and try to get everything straightened. Then all of a sudden, Metal hits, and the whole focus of the book changes. All of a sudden, they're not trying to get their shit together and move on. All of a sudden, they're basically going around trying to find new metas, new people who've discovered powers, and they're going to start training them. It went out of left field, and the book only lasted another 5 or 6 issues. I don't think that was Abnett just changing midstream, going, okay, well, I'm going to take an emergency left turn here. It had to be because of everything was going on overall.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yep.
He had to sacrifice what he was wanting to do for supposedly the betterment, or for the betterment of the overall story arc, and essentially kills that book off. I hate that shit, and it happens more often. It's because you kind of mentioned it. It seems like there is no game plan. There is no, okay, this is where we're going, and all that. And frankly, the events need to go away. The over Earth universal shaking in events need to go away. If you're gonna do them once every 5 years. That way you have granted, that's not going to happen because all they're built on is marketing and publicity, and not necessarily making sure that there's good stories. And I don't mean
they're built on tricking existing readers into buying more stuff.
Yes, and that's bullshit. But anyway,
yeah,
that's my 2 cents of the secret. Ribby.
I agree with Gabby Johnson.
Error.
And the whole thing with the paper shortage and all that, I would believe you a lot more if it wasn't for the fact that every book that does come out still has 5 or 6 variant covers.
True.
This book that's supposed to come out next week is going to be 2 or 3 months down the line because we don't have the paper. But this other book that came out this week has 4 or 5 different variant covers, especially one that's 1 in 500.
Speaking of rants we've already done.
Yes, I know.
See, it's not just you, Liz.
I just
Why did you tell her that?
To make her feel better.
Right. I needed the boost.
yeah, someone's gonna have to explain that to me.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm not alone in this thought.
Mm-hmm.
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 Oh.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Talk about taking our left turn. Jeez.
Emergency back turn there.
He did not die. He just went home.
He just went home. That's right. For my article, I picked this to where we can actually kind of explore this a little bit, not particularly into this item, but overall. This is actually an article from Deadline that was published on the 1st, and it talked about the animated series Pearl that was created by Meghan Markle, had been canceled by Netflix. They're not gonna do the show, and this is in a series of decisions of stuff that has been canceled or dicks before it goes into production. Jeff Smith's Bone animated series has been canceled. There was a bunch of cancellations. Space Force, Steve Carell's show, has been canceled after, I think it was 2 seasons. It's just a lot. There's just been a lot of bloodshed regarding shows that have been canceled, and part of it is due to the situation that Netflix is in, and it really sounds like Netflix just really kind of overreached. If they're wanting to do things on what's the right word? Less expensive. If they want to do things a little bit less expensive, why were they greenlighting everything left and right?
Yeah.
It seems like once again, someone that's not paying attention to what is going on. And then for they talk about all these, hey, here's all these good numbers, and we're winning awards and stuff like that, but we lost 200,000 subscribers in the first quarter, and we're projecting to lose 2 million in the second quarter. What?
Quit randomly raising your fucking prices, and maybe people will stop abandoning ship.
And they're also blaming sharing passwords. I'm like, okay, well, that's
bullshit.
Whatever. Yeah.
You're never going to get around that. You're never going to get around that.
Yeah. It sounds like it's all CYA. They really need to figure out what they want. It's like,
well, the trick here is that when they started doing this stuff, there was no competition.
No.
Now everybody and their friggin' uncle has a streaming service, and Netflix is the one who didn't spend 40 years creating content before they started a streaming service. So they're starting to get less and less properties from other places because they all have their own service, and so they're starting to scramble now.
They were just going, well, we're doing okay. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, and didn't actually change their game plan due to the fact that they actually have competition. That's correct. So I don't. I really wonder what's going to happen with Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I may not have a popular opinion about Netflix, but I guess with their last, we'll say, 2 controversies, they kind of took the ho-hum stance to it, and their own employees canceled them. And you had a lot of people who, got very upset because the things that were said and the things that were done, and they canceled. And I think right now they're living through the cancel culture pretty much. I don't know if it has anything to do with programming, but more so of they pissed off the wrong people. When you have your own employees cancel you, did they expect that Netflix could bounce back and we're okay? Yeah, they've had some bad PR outside of their programming.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
probably a contributing factor too.
Right. And they're going to blame everything other than we fucked up. They're going to say, oh, well, it's password sharing, and oh, it's because of this, and oh, and no, this is, when people talk about cancel culture, this is it. This is what happens. I just think it's surprised now that the employees are surprised that they're losing their jobs. It was like, what did you think was going to happen? I don't know. I don't see Netflix surviving for too much longer.
Not without a major shift in their outlook and in their plan.
Well, they're going to have to work with the big boys, and so far they haven't wanted to do that. They've lost content and everything else because they don't want to share their sandbox. Disney stepped in a while back and was like, hey, we don't want to buy you, but we want to buy part of you, and you kind of teach us. And Netflix was like, hell no. So what did Disney do? They went over to Hulu. Yeah, and they were like, you show us. And they're like, okay. They left Hulu in place. They did their own thing. And Hulu's thriving now because they've got big bucks
they play
behind
ball,
them.
right?
Yep, they shared their sandbox. And I think I mentioned it like a couple months ago. I was looking to cut a lot of my streaming services, and I found out I was paying for more of them if I was going through Amazon and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Almost every streaming service you can bundle. Netflix is the only one that they won't let you bundle with anything.
Yep.
So it's kind of
because they don't communicate with anybody or anything.
Nope. They don't play well with others. I think they hit it early and they got too big of a head.
Right.
And now everybody's catching up, and it's kind of like,
they were the only show in town for a long time. Yep. And now they're not the only show in town anymore, and they don't really know how to not be the only show in town.
Nope.
And so they've sort of tried to pretend to be the only show in town for a while. And nobody really believes it anymore. So
and not wanting to play with others. Mm-hmm. Well, you wouldn't help me when I needed your help. Why will I give you the rights to my movies now?
Yep.
No, thank you. But people like Stars and everybody else have been able to work with each other, and it's like, hey, yeah, you can have Spider-Man before we put it over here, and but Netflix, they don't do that.
Nope.
So, and they just recently raised their price again, so it's like, wow, for HD TV,
to the
it's
point
like $20 a month.
Yeah, to the point where it's way higher than the others.
Yeah, and it's not worth it
for less content now.
Yeah. And seeing Hulu's gotten better because before, you had to kind of, if you caught it live, Hulu was great. But after the season ended, it was off of Hulu. Well, Hulu's done great about retaining that season longer. So people like me who like to binge the whole season, you can do that now on Hulu. Before you couldn't, Once it was gone. Matter of fact, 8 episodes in, episodes started dropping off that you couldn't watch them anymore. So they saw where their customer was like, well, this is bunk, and they improved it. To whereas Netflix is kind of like, nah, you'll learn to adapt, because we're not changing anything. There hasn't been any new changes to Netflix in quite a while,
Right.
So they're
starting to act like they're running out of time.
Yeah. And who wants to help them now? Who's going to throw them the lifeboat?
Oh, yeah, nobody.
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 Now it's worth it for you to die, Before it wasn't, we would have helped you. But now,
right.
Less competition.
But now we'll the only thing that happens if Netflix dies is we get more subscribers. So
yep. We absorb your customers.
Right. Why should we be nice now?
Yep. And I think, not to take this too far off, I think Disney had a good game plan when they bundled with Hulu, because that's actually one of the cheaper things that I pay for, but I get more options. I have Discovery, I have Hulu, I have Disney, ESPN if I wanted it, and it's still the cheaper thing that I pay for. So,
Yep.
Netflix needs to get along, make a deal with like Paramount or somebody who's out there trying to make it work. You help us and we'll help you, and they got new content.
Or even maybe find a newer and an up-and-coming one to latch on to, and maybe at least try to pretend like it's a mutual thing.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
So they could pull it out. But I think even new content at this point is not going to help them. I think right now it's an image thing.
Yeah.
They need to clean up their image. Because in the personal world, we think they're dicks because they won't work with anyone. And it's the same thing in the business world. So
canceling Bone is not going to help their image either. I'm just going to say that flat out. I mean, holy shit. How many of us were looking forward to that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Too many.
Right.
Well, and weren't they the ones that was also doing Sweet Tooth? And what was the other one that was really good? Shadow and Bone. So that would be the only reason I would want to see them continue.
Honestly, if Netflix dies, hopefully those properties just go somewhere else and get picked up, And hopefully that happens with Bone too. But
it seems like on a lot of cases, and I know I posted something on about Schitt's Creek. There's something in the contract where they're only on Netflix for like a year or so, then they go elsewhere.
Yeah.
But which is Netflix's MO of having a show for about 2 seasons and canceling it, whether it deserves it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, season 4 of Stranger Things is going to be starting here soon, and that's unheard of for Netflix to have a show that's actually reached season 4.
Well, and it's taken them years to do it.
Well, true.
Yeah. See, and then before, Netflix was kind of the savior. If something got canceled, usually they were kind of like, hey, we'll go ahead and do it here, but they haven't done that in a while either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lucifer.
Yeah.
Manifest, if they get that one put out. So they've done good, but it's kind of like they've shifted away from that, and they no longer care about what you want, Which makes me wonder, maybe that's a financial issue,
That whole 2-season thing is guaranteed a financial issue, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've read, because it's usually season 3 when there's a bump in cost, whether it's salaries, and that kind of stuff.
Salaries.
And they've done it to themselves. If you're going to start off with a 2-season deal, guess what? Season 3 is going to cost more.
Yeah.
If it lasts that long, that's the deal. If you want to fix that, do a 4-season deal to start with.
Yep.
And you're probably going to have to pay a little more, but if it's good, who cares?
Yep. Because apparently if you're going to pay these people more, they've done their job good and they're worth more,
Right.
Yeah.
I think they said, like, Big Bang Theory, they were making like $5,000 an episode, and they're at the end, we're talking $1 million episodes and stuff. So,
that happens with a lot of shows. God, Friends.
Yep. Friends.
My God.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
And they were worth it. They were pulling the numbers in, and
Speaking of tangents. That's why we do this.
Yep.
All righty. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
No, I don't think so.
I hate to make this even longer, but I think we should mention that Neil Adams passed away. Um,
Yeah.
I think losing him for DC was kind of like Stan Lee for Marvel. I hate to place them both there, but they did so many great contributions, and even him outside of DC with, protecting people's rights and that kind of thing. He was one of the true ones. So definitely a big loss there.
Yep.
And I expect DC to probably in the next coming months or whatever, probably a whole Neil run covers and stuff. Because, my God, how many did he do? So, big loss for sure.
Yeah, well,
Sad.
I'm sure both of them will have something in the next few issues of other books, but regarding anything over that, I will see, because I'm sure the Adams, I almost said the Adams family, but
It is. Yeah.
but it is the Adams family. Will have a say, because
Did you see Josh's post?
Yeah.
Oh man, that tore me up.
So,
Like I know what he meant to you guys, but he was my dad, and it was like, oh my God, thank you for sharing him with us,
So.
And he was one of the most intelligent men and one of the most knowledgeable men in the business.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, a pretty damn good storyteller too.
Oh, yes.
Catch him at a panel or something, and at one of the cons. Holy cow, he could go on and on and on. It's good stuff.
Yeah. He's seen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was good for the industry, not only talent-wise, but what he's helped for the creators, both those who came before him and those who've come after him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Amazing artist. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah.
My only nitpick is when he actually puts in eyes for Batman's mask. It's like, no, they need to be white over. You don't no eyes, please.
Trying to make him look more human. That's all.
I know it's just a nitpick, and who might have nitpick his work, but yeah, it always bugs me.
Other than eyes, he did a damn good Batman.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't pick anything that he's done bad.
Yep. And wasn't he one of the artists on Killing Joke?
No, that was Brian Bolland.
Was it? Okay.
So, all right. Any other special mentions this week?
No, that's enough, I think.
We'll move on to our regular shout-outs. First off, we want to thank Pop Goes to Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Please check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Podern Family on Twitter, who've been so kind as to spread the word of the fellowship by retweeting our links. Definitely want you to check them out, and the best way to do that is just do a search, #Podern Family, one word. Just scroll through, and whatever catches your attention, please click on that link and download the episode, and we hope you have a good time listening to them. Thank you guys for your support as always. Want to thank Maddie the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. We want you to check out their music. There will be a link in the show notes as well. And finally, you dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, what have you, please send them our way. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website and go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out there. We mentioned Discord earlier in the show. We do have a channel specifically for feedback, so you can post there once you join our Discord. You can follow us on social media. Facebook, we are the Fellowship of the Geeks. We're obviously on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at Tom TC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you take a couple extra moments to rate and review the show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We do appreciate your support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,